You've all heard it before. People don't leave organizations. They leave bad managers. Well, I am about to pop that bubble. People today aren't leaving because their boss is a nightmare. They are leaving because their careers are stagnant. They cannot see a future. They're putting in the effort, but they just don't see a path forward. Across every major report, and we'll get into that, but Braverly, Lattice, Deloitte, the top reason why employees are leaving is a lack of development and career progression. Not salary, not perks, not remote work, but development. And that is not just an HR problem. That is our problem. Retention, turnover, engagement, succession. Yes, those things might fall on the desk of HR, but the root cause sits in what we design, what we enable, and what we build. And this is the moment. This is our moment to step in and not just to support, but to shape and to lead. In this video, we are going to look at how L&D can actually be that retention engine, the growth architect, and the culture driver. We are not going to talk about adding more courses to your LMS. And yeah, in this channel, we never talk about that. We're going to talk about building capability that creates momentum and designing employee experiences that make people want to stay. And if you can't see it, this super energizes me. So I am so excited for this show. Here's what we'll cover. We will look into the real data as to why people are leaving. We'll cover the pressure HR is under to stop that churn. We'll look at what L&D can do about it, both strategically and practically. And at the end, we'll cover some of the most important conversations you can have today with HR, with employees, and with managers. Because if you're watching this, chances are you're not in learning and development to deliver training. You're here to help build careers. And so let's do that on purpose together. Part 1 covers why are people really leaving. Let's jump into some reports here. According to Lattice, the number 1 reason employees cite for leaving their roles is lack of development and growth opportunities. And yet, only 41% of HR leaders feel confident their company is effectively addressing that. And that gap, that is not theoretical. That is showing up in retention rates. Braverly's 2025 talent strategy report shows that 67% of employees who left in the past year had not participated in any meaningful development discussions in the last 6 months prior to their exit. If that is not a waving red flag, then I don't know what is. And then Gartner's HR Strategic Impact Survey shows that 58% of HR leaders are now being measured on retention. So that's more than half, 58%. But most say they don't have the time or tools to design career pathing that actually works. So here's the dilemma. HR is being asked to fix turnover. Managers are overwhelmed and employees feel invisible. While learning and development, we're still being asked to create training. Let's stop doing that. Let's start solving what actually matters. Because we have the frameworks, we have the access, and we are the only team that sits across every function, every level, every capability. And this isn't about rescuing anyone. This is about owning the piece of the employee experience that will determine whether they grow, whether they stay, or whether they leave. Jumping into part 2, the role of learning and development in retention. Let's be crystal clear. Development is not a workshop. Development is not access to an e-learning library. It is the experience of seeing progress, of feeling that movement forward, of knowing that you're building something bigger and not just for you, but for the entire organization. That's what people are craving, and that's where learning and development steps in. Let's break it down by some of the pressure points HR is experiencing right now and what learning and development can do to help. Number 1, succession planning is falling apart. And I'm not saying this to be a drama queen. Only 32% of HR leaders feel that their pipeline is sufficient, that their succession plans are good and solid. And according to Deloitte, leadership development, for example, has been over-indexed by content, by learning content, and under-indexed by real-world experience, coaching, sort of on-the-job stuff. So our role here is to define capability pathways that define what success looks like and what those critical capabilities are, and then create stretch pathways or whole person pathways, which include things like mentoring and secondments and projects. And this will ensure that we prep people, not just train them. And then, of course, we can partner with HR to analyze those, exit surveys. What is the data telling us? And also to deep dive into any performance gaps. We need to stop putting people into leadership without them really being ready for it. And we need to stop waiting until someone resigns before we have a succession conversation. Number 2 is that managers are burning out and opting out. Gartner data shows that managers are feeling more pressure than ever before. They are expected to coach and develop and engage while also navigating so much change in the workplace, hybrid teams, while also managing their own performance and outputs. It's honestly no wonder that they feel bombarded. So our role in this, we can build just-in-time or on-the-job toolkits, things like conversation guides or personal development plan frameworks or team meeting guides or one-pager coaching guides. Anything like that is going to really help them. Next, we can facilitate some real development, and not just for the team members, but for the managers themselves. And then we can partner with HR to do stay interviews instead of just exit interviews. And then we can also do something called career sprints to make sure that those top performers are staying visible and top of mind. This way, we turn managers into those amplifiers for growth and not blockers. Third is probably my favorite. Performance reviews still feel like punishment and not progress. Because let's just call a spade. Performance management systems are there to rate people and not to develop them. So our role, we can partner with HR to really help reframe this and build performance. I don't even like to call it performance management, and build performance enablement ecosystems, infrastructures around readiness and development and career progression instead of just ticking the box and bonuses. We should truly build development goals in every single performance discussion. If we're not doing that, we're missing a huge opportunity. And then we should train managers on how to coach and develop during these conversations and not just box check that they've, ticked off all their KPIs and done all their tasks. And this is how we make development feel real and part of every day, and not just the standalone event thing that we have to go and do that's pretty theoretical and in a classroom. Number 4 is quite a slap in the face, but it could be that people don't really know what growth means in their environment, in their organization. People are often quoted saying, "I would stay if only I could see a future here." So let's break it down. According to the World Economic Forum, there are 3 things employees are looking for when they refer to growth at a company. These 3 things are visibility, relevance, and ownership over their careers. So our role in L&D is to map out career journeys, map our career pathways. We can build out progression maps, basically saying what it looks like to grow in your role, in your same role, while you are there? Or if you move laterally, what does this look like? Because you're still growing. And then we can also run things like career labs or growth weeks, where we talk about it and we give people the opportunity to ask questions and really dig deeper into what does growth look like, because it's not always the promotion. It's so much more than that. And truly, this work, it isn't extra. It is part of the strategy, because when people see a future in the organization, they'll stay, and then we're doing our jobs. Moving on to part 3, where we need to build a culture where growth is expected and it's not something optional. And this is where we go way beyond tactics and into culture. In organizations where learning is seen as part of advancement and not as a requirement, those people stay longer and the organization experiences much higher engagement and morale. They tend to promote from within. They tend to recover very quickly from any change, and they build those cultures where people just don't want to leave. This is what Deloitte calls a capability-centric culture. Let me say that again. A capability-centric culture. And this is really, again, where development is expected and it's built in, it's embedded in the daily work. But here's the secret. Culture is not created by values on the wall. It's created by what we design, what we measure, and what we celebrate. We can ensure that learning is tied to progression and not just compliance. We can track capability growth and not just attendance. We can put development front and center in onboarding, in performance discussions, in succession planning. And when we do that, development stops being something that we hope employees take part in. It becomes something they expect, something they experience, and something that makes them stay. Okay, we are done and we need to get practical. If you want to start shifting retention with development, here are 3 conversations that you can have this week. Why not? The HR conversation. Which roles are most critical to keep over the next 12 months? And what capabilities will they need? This aligns learning with retention and succession planning strategically. Number 2 is the manager conversation. Ask them, how confident are you in helping your team grow? What's getting in the way? This tells you where your development enablement needs to begin. And number 3, the employee conversation. Ask them, what would growth look like for you in the next year? And what's one thing we can do to support it? This unlocks career insights that no survey can capture. And you don't need permission to ask these questions. So start asking them. If this episode hits something in you and you're thinking, yes, this is exactly what we need to be doing, then I have something for you. Grab my Talent Enablement Impact Toolkit. Link in the description. Inside there, you'll find the impact checklist, you'll find the infinity loop, and you'll find the 5-spoke impact model. These are very practical tools that you can use to connect capability development to business priorities. This is how we make development strategic. This is how we stop the churn. And this is how we start to lead. And I would love it if you subscribe. I release weekly videos breaking down strategic talent development into bite-sized, achievable, and practical videos. Because it is time to stop being the training providers and start being the engine that drives business capability. And there's no other way to say this, but we're friends now. I'll see you in the next episode.